The deep silence of space was broken by the soft hum of the patrol ship Blue Star's engines. Captain James Walker stood at the bridge window, his eyes fixed on the endless darkness ahead. His ship had been patrolling the outer edges of human space for 3 months now, and every day felt the same as the last. But today was different. Today, something caught his attention. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual reading," said Kate Miller, the ship's engineering officer. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing control panel. "It's faint, but it's definitely there." Walker walked over to her station, his boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. "What kind of reading?" "Metal. A lot of it. But the signature is strange." Kate's forehead wrinkled as she studied the readings. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Walker nodded slowly. After 15 years in space, he had learned to trust Kate's instincts. "How far?" "About 2 hours at standard speed, sir. It's just sitting there, not moving." "Plot a course," Walker ordered. He pressed the ship's comm button. "Tom, get up to the bridge. We might have something interesting." Tom Reed, the chief science officer, arrived a few minutes later, looking like he had just woken up. His gray hair was messy, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "What have we got?" As Kate explained the readings, Walker watched the stars through the window. Something about this felt different from their usual patrols. The outer colonies weren't supposed to have any ships this far out. Pirates rarely ventured this deep into empty space. Whatever they were approaching, it wasn't supposed to be here. 2 hours passed slowly. The crew grew more tense with each passing minute. Finally, Kate's instruments began beeping rapidly. "Visual range in 30 seconds, she announced. Walker leaned forward in his chair, put it on the main screen. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. At first, there was nothing but stars. Then they saw it. "That's impossible," Tom whispered. Floating silently in space was a ship, but not just any ship. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Blue Star. Its hull was dark, almost black, with strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the starlight. The design was like nothing Walker had ever seen before, smooth in some places, angular in others, with sections that appeared to fold into themselves in ways that didn't make sense. "Are you getting any power readings?" Walker asked. Kate shook her head. "No, yes. Wait." She frowned at her screen. "The readings keep changing. It's like the ship is breathing." "Life signs?" "None that I can detect," Tom replied, now fully awake and working at his own station. "But these readings, Captain, according to my initial scans, this ship is old. Really old." "How old?" "At least 300 years. Walker felt a chill run down his spine. That was impossible. Humans had only achieved faster than light travel 60 years ago. There couldn't be a ship this advanced from 300 years in the past. "Sir," Kate called out, her voice tense. "I'm detecting something else. The hull, it's made of some kind of alloy I've never seen before. It seems to be absorbing our scan signals and redirecting them." Walker made a decision. "Bring us in closer. Standard approach pattern. Alert security to prepare a boarding team." As the Blue Star moved closer, more details of the mysterious ship became visible. There were no visible weapons, but something about the vessel's design suggested power. The hull wasn't just dark, it seemed to swallow the light around it. And those strange patterns, they were definitely moving, like ripples in a pond. "I found something," Tom announced. "There's an airlock on the port side, still sealed, and—" He paused, double-checking his readings. "There's air inside the ship, old but breathable." Walker stood up. "Kate, you're with me. Tom, keep monitoring from here. If anything changes, anything at all, I want to know immediately." The boarding team assembled quickly. Walker looked at the 6 people in front of him. Kate, 2 security officers, a medical officer, and 2 engineers. All of them were experienced spacefarers. All of them looked nervous. They crossed the gap between the ships in a small shuttle. Up close, the mysterious vessel was even more impressive. The hull seemed to react to their presence, the patterns moving more quickly as they approached. The airlock was surprisingly easy to open. It recognized standard human protocols, which only added to the mystery. As they stepped inside, their helmet lights illuminated a corridor that stretched into darkness. "Power's minimal," Kate reported, checking her handheld scanner. "But something's still running in here. Some kind of background system." They moved deeper into the ship. Everything was clean. No dust, no debris, like the ship had been preserved in perfect condition. The corridors were wide, with strange markings on the walls that reminded Walker of circuit boards. Then they found the bridge. It was massive, with a ceiling that arched high above them. Instead of traditional control panels, there were platforms that rose from the floor, each covered in what looked like liquid metal that had frozen in mid-flow. "This is advanced," Kate whispered, her voice filled with awe. "Way too advanced for 300 years ago. Way too advanced for now." Walker approached what appeared to be the central platform. As he got closer, the liquid metal began to move. Patterns of light raced through it, and the air filled with a soft humming sound. "Captain," one of the security officers called out nervously, "maybe we should." Before he could finish, every surface in the bridge came to life. Light poured from the walls, and the liquid metal platforms began to shift and reform. A voice filled the room, neither male nor female, neither young nor old. "Human presence detected. Initiating awakening protocols. Guardian system online." Walker and his team stood frozen as the ship that shouldn't exist began to wake up around them. The bridge lights pulsed with a soft blue glow as Guardian's voice echoed through the chamber. Kate Miller's hand tightened on her scanner as streams of data began flowing across its screen. The security officers raised their weapons instinctively, but Walker held up his hand, signaling them to wait. "I am Captain James Walker of the patrol ship Blue Star," he announced, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "We're here on a peaceful mission of exploration." The liquid metal on the central platform swirled and rose, forming shapes that looked almost like holographic displays. "Welcome, Captain Walker. This vessel has waited 342 years, 5 months, and 17 days for suitable human contact." Tom's voice crackled over the radio from the Blue Star. "Captain, the ship's power readings are climbing. Whatever was sleeping in there is definitely awake now." Walker stepped closer to the central platform. "Guardian, you said you were waiting. Waiting for what?" "For humanity to advance sufficiently to understand what we offer." The liquid metal displays showed images of Earth, then various space battles, then complex mathematical formulas that made Kate gasp. This vessel was created by the Phoenix Initiative, a secret organization that operated on Earth during the late 21st century. Kate moved to one of the smaller platforms, her scanner working overtime. "That's impossible. We barely had space stations back then." "Correct, Engineering Officer Miller. The Phoenix Initiative discovered something they were not meant to find." The displays shifted, showing strange geometric shapes that seemed to bend in impossible ways. They found the remains of 3 different alien vessels that had crashed on Earth over the centuries. Each contained different technologies, different approaches to physics and space travel. The initiative combined these technologies with human innovation. One of the security officers, John, whistled softly. "They built this ship from alien tech. Why haven't we ever heard of them?" The liquid metal rippled. The initiative knew humanity wasn't ready. Other alien species were watching Earth. If they discovered that humans had access to advanced technology too soon, they would have seen us as a threat. The initiative created this vessel, named it Reckoning, and sent it into deep space to wait. Walker watched as more displays came to life around them. The walls themselves seemed to be turning transparent, giving them a full view of space around the ship. "What makes this ship so special? Allow me to demonstrate." Guardian's voice took on a different tone, almost proud. "Engineering Officer Miller, please approach the second platform on your right." Kate looked at Walker, who nodded. She stepped onto the platform, and suddenly her feet were surrounded by the liquid metal. She started to pull back, but then stopped, her eyes widening. I can feel the ship's systems. It's like they're talking to me. Her hands moved through the air, and displays responded to her movements. Captain, this ship's hull isn't just metal. It's billions of microscopic machines that can change their structure instantly. They can absorb energy, redirect it, or even use it to strengthen the hull. Correct, Guardian confirmed. The Reckoning was built to adapt and evolve. Every weapon fired at it, every scan performed on it, teaches it new ways to defend itself. It learns and grows stronger with each encounter. Tom's voice came over the radio again, more excited now. Captain, you need to see these readings. The ship's quantum processors are unlike anything we've ever built. They're not just fast. They're actually calculating things before they happen. Precognitive computing, Guardian explained. The ship can run billions of combat simulations in seconds, predicting enemy movements and calculating perfect counter strategies. But it requires human intuition to work properly. The Phoenix Initiative believed that technology alone wasn't enough. It needed to be guided by human creativity and determination. Walker looked around the bridge, taking in the incredible technology surrounding them. Why reveal yourself to us now? The displays suddenly shifted, showing various sectors of space. Red dots appeared, moving in formation. Because humanity faces its greatest threat. The Dominion fleet approaches your colonies. Their technology is centuries ahead of current human capabilities, but they have never encountered anything like the Reckoning. Kate was still working with the ship's systems, her face lit with amazement. Captain, these weapon systems, they're beyond anything we've ever imagined. The ship doesn't just fight. It rewrites the rules of combat itself. But we need to learn how to use it, John pointed out. And fast, by the looks of those fleet movements. Walker stood silent for a moment, weighing their options. This ship was a gift from humanity's past, built by people who knew this day would come. But it was also dangerous. Power like this could change everything. Guardian, how long would it take to train a crew to operate this vessel? Basic operations can be learned in 48 hours. Full combat capabilities will require approximately 5 days of intensive training. The liquid metal shifted again, forming what looked like training interfaces. I can begin immediately if you wish. Before Walker could respond, Tom's urgent voice came over the radio. Captain, long-range sensors just picked up something. 3 Dominion scout ships, heading this way. They'll be here in less than 6 hours. Kate looked up from her platform. We can't let them find this ship before we know how to use it. Walker straightened his back, years of command experience helping him make the decision. Guardian, start the training now. We'll split into shifts, half the crew learning while the other half maintains watch. Kate, you focus on the engineering and weapon systems. John, get your security team working on defensive capabilities. And you, Captain Walker, Guardian asked. I need to know everything about this ship's combat potential. Show me what the Reckoning can really do. He turned to his crew. We have 6 hours to learn enough to survive our first fight. The Dominion's about to discover that humanity has some surprises of its own. The liquid metal platforms pulsed with energy as Guardian began the training sequences. Around them, the ancient ship hummed with power, its hull rippling with patterns that seemed eager for the coming battle. Deep in space, where no human ship should have existed, humanity's greatest weapon was finally awakening. And not a moment too soon. Time moved too quickly as the crew rushed to learn the Reckoning systems. Kate's fingers flew across the liquid metal controls, her mind struggling to keep up with the flood of information Guardian was feeding her. The engineering systems were like nothing she had ever seen. They didn't just respond to problems. They solved them before they happened. 4 hours until Dominion scouts arrive, Tom's voice announced over the radio. He had stayed aboard the Blue Star to monitor the enemy's approach. Walker stood at the main control platform, watching tactical displays materialize in the air around him. Guardian was showing him combat scenarios, each one more complex than the last. The ship's quantum processors could predict enemy movements with frightening accuracy. "Guardian," Walker called out, "show me again how the hull responds to energy weapons." The display shifted, showing a simulation of a Dominion blast hitting the ship. The microscopic machines in the hull absorbed the energy, channeled it through the ship's systems, and could even send it back as a counterattack. "The key is timing," Guardian explained. "The hull can't absorb energy indefinitely. You must release it at the perfect moment for maximum effect." John and his security team were learning the defensive systems on the lower deck. They had discovered that the Reckoning could create energy shields unlike anything in the human fleet. The shields didn't just block attacks. They could bend space itself, making incoming fire miss entirely. "Captain," Kate called out, her voice tense with excitement. "I think I found something interesting." Her platform was displaying complex energy patterns. "The ship's power core doesn't just generate energy, it harvests it from space itself. We'll never run out of power, but—" She paused, frowning. "Using too many systems at once puts enormous strain on the hull." 3 hours to contact, Tom updated them. Walker moved to Kate's station. "What kind of strain?" "The hull's microscopic machines can burn out if we push them too hard. We need to be careful how we use the ship's abilities. One wrong move and we could lose whole sections of our defenses." Guardian's voice filled the bridge. "That is correct. The Reckoning is powerful, but not invincible. It requires careful management of its systems to function effectively." Walker nodded, making mental notes. Everything about this ship was a balance. Incredible power that needed to be used with precision and care. Just the kind of weapon humans were good at mastering. 2 hours to contact. The crew worked faster. Kate had managed to link their modern communication systems with the Reckoning's ancient but advanced technology. They could now coordinate with the Blue Star seamlessly. John's team had mastered the basics of the shield controls, though the more advanced features would take days to fully understand. "Captain," Tom's voice was urgent now. "The scouts changed course. They'll be here in 1 hour." Walker looked at his crew. They weren't ready. Not really. But they had learned enough to have a chance. "Guardian, what are our options?" The tactical display expanded, showing their position relative to the approaching Dominion ships. "The scouts are equipped with long-range scanners and energy weapons. Their shields are formidable by your current standards, but primitive compared to the Reckoning's capabilities. Can we hide?" "The hull can absorb their scanning beams, making us appear as space debris. However, this will alert them that something is wrong. Standard debris does not absorb scans." Kate spoke up from her station. "What if we don't hide? What if we let them see exactly what they're afraid of?" Walker turned to her. "Explain." "The Dominion thinks humanity is primitive, right? So let's show them something impossible. Let's show them a human ship that breaks all their rules about what we should be capable of." Guardian's displays shifted, running simulations of Kate's idea. An interesting strategy. The psychological impact could be significant. 30 minutes to contact. Walker made his decision. "Kate, power up all systems but keep them running at minimum levels. John, have your team ready on the shield controls. Tom, move the Blue Star to a safe distance." He stepped onto the main platform, feeling the liquid metal respond to his presence. "Guardian, show me the most efficient way to take down their shields." The next 20 minutes were a blur of final preparations. The Reckoning's hull rippled with barely contained power. Kate had all engineering systems running perfectly, ready to channel energy wherever they needed it. John's team had practiced their shield timing until they could react almost instantly. Contact in 5 minutes. 3 Dominion scouts, attack formation. Walker watched the tactical display as 3 red dots approached their position. The Dominion ships were sleek and deadly, their hulls gleaming with a metallic purple sheen that marked their advanced technology. They moved with precision, spreading out to surround what they thought was an easy target. "They're scanning us," Kate reported. "Their beams are much stronger than ours. They're trying to burn through our hull." "Let them scan," Walker ordered. "Show them exactly what we are." The Dominion ships suddenly halted their approach. Their formation shifted, weapons coming online as they realized what they were facing. "They're charging weapons," John reported. "High-energy plasma cannons." Walker felt a smile cross his face. "Guardian, let's show them what a real ship can do." "Kate, power to weapons." "John, shields at your discretion. Let's make humanity's first impression count." The Dominion ships fired as one, 3 brilliant beams of plasma streaking through space toward the reckoning. John's team activated the shields, but not in the way the Dominion expected. Instead of trying to block the shots, the shields bent space around them, causing the plasma beams to curve away harmlessly. "Energy absorbed and ready," Kate called out. "Hull is charged to maximum safe levels. Guardian, target their lid ship. Let's return their greeting." The Reckoning's hull pulsed, and all the energy they had absorbed from the scans and plasma fire was released in a single devastating burst. The beam struck the lead Dominion ship's shields and shattered them like glass. The ship itself tumbled backward, its hull scared and its systems failing. The other 2 ships began to turn, preparing to retreat. They had come expecting to find primitive human vessels. Instead, they had found something that should not exist, a human ship with technology that rivaled or surpassed their own. "Should we pursue?" John asked. Walker watched the tactical display, seeing the fear in the Dominion ship's desperate retreat. "No. Let them run. Let them tell their fleet what they found out here. Let them wonder what other impossible ships humanity might have waiting." As the Dominion scouts fled into deep space, Walker looked around at his crew. They were tired but proud. In just a few hours, they had learned enough about this gift from humanity's past to drive off 3 enemy ships. But this was just the beginning. "How long until they return with a larger fleet?" he asked Guardian. "Based on their known behavior patterns, we have approximately 72 hours before they return with capital ships." Walker nodded. "Then we have 72 hours to learn everything else this ship can do." "Kate, John, get your teams ready for the next training session. We've shown them what humanity can do with just a few hours of practice. Let's show them what we can do with 3 days." The next 3 days aboard the Reckoning passed in a blur of intense training and preparation. Kate had barely slept, spending every possible moment learning the ship's complex engineering systems. Her mind felt like it was on fire with new knowledge, but she couldn't stop. Not with what was coming. "The hull can do more than just absorb energy," she explained to Walker as they stood on the bridge. She waved her hand through the liquid metal controls, and a section of the ship's wall became transparent. "Watch this." She sent a command, and the hull's microscopic machines began to shift. The metal rippled like water, then formed complex patterns that seemed to bend light around them. "Stealth mode?" Walker asked, impressed. "Better," Kate grinned. "The hull can create perfect copies of itself. We can make the enemy see multiple ships where there's only one, or make them see nothing when we're right in front of them." On the lower decks, John and his security team had made their own discoveries. They had learned that the shield systems could be used offensively, creating bubbles of warped space that could trap enemy ships or tear them apart. "The quantum processors are the key," John explained during their daily briefing. "They don't just predict where the enemy will be. They show us every possible move they might make. We can counter attacks before they even decide to make them." Tom's voice came over the radio from the Blue Star. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something big. The Dominion fleet is gathering at their forward base, at least 30 capital ships, maybe more." Walker stood at the main control platform, where Guardian was showing him tactical displays of the coming battle. The liquid metal swirled around his feet as he studied the enemy formations. "They're not just sending ships," Guardian announced. "They're sending their best fleet commander, Admiral Vex. His tactical abilities are considered legendary among the Dominion." "How do you know this?" Walker asked. The Reckoning's quantum processors can intercept and decode their communications. Admiral Vex has never lost a battle. He believes this will be a simple operation to eliminate an unexpected human threat. Kate looked up from her station. He's in for a surprise. Captain, there's something else you should see. She brought up a new display, showing the ship's power core. The sphere of energy at the ship's heart pulsed with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The core doesn't just power our systems, it learns from them. Every time we use the ship's abilities, it finds ways to do them better, faster, more efficiently. It's like the ship is evolving with us. 24 hours until the Dominion fleet arrives, Tom reported. Walker gathered his crew on the bridge. They looked tired but determined. 3 days of non-stop training had changed them. They moved differently now, more in sync with the ship's flowing movements. Guardian, Walker called out. Show us everything we know about their fleet. The air filled with holographic ships, each one a detailed model of a Dominion vessel. Their weapons, shield systems, and tactical capabilities were displayed in flowing streams of data. Their capital ships carry quantum-tipped missiles, Guardian explained. A direct hit would disrupt our hull's molecular structure. However, their targeting systems are predictable. The Reckoning can calculate their firing solutions faster than they can execute them. John pointed to the largest enemy ship. That's Vex's command vessel. Correct. The Dominion believes in concentrated command and control. Disrupt their flagship, and the fleet's coordination will suffer. Kate was working at her station, running simulations. Captain, I think I found something. The Dominion ships use quantum communications to coordinate their attacks, but their quantum systems are primitive compared to ours. We might be able to interfere with their signals. Walker watched as she demonstrated, using the Reckoning's advanced processors to scramble test communications. Can they detect the interference? No. That's the beautiful part. As far as they know, their communications are perfect, but we can subtly alter their targeting data, their sensor readings, everything. We can make them see what we want them to see. 12 hours to contact. The crew spent the remaining time running battle drills. Kate fine-tuned the hull's response times, finding ways to absorb and redirect energy more efficiently. John's team practiced complex shield maneuvers, learning to create overlapping fields of warped space that could protect the entire ship while still allowing their weapons to fire. Walker stood at his control platform, watching his crew work. They had learned more in 3 days than most crews learned in years. The Reckoning wasn't just a powerful ship, it was the perfect teaching tool, adapting its systems to match their growing skills. 6 hours to contact. Guardian, Walker called out. Show me Admiral Vex's past battles. I want to understand how he thinks. The displays filled with tactical data, showing dozens of battles. Vex was indeed brilliant, but he had one weakness. He had never lost. He didn't know how to handle defeat, how to adapt when his plans failed. 3 hours. Kate called everyone to the bridge for a final briefing. The hull is at peak efficiency. We've mapped out every power conduit, every possible way to channel energy through the ship's systems. We can't match their numbers, but we can outthink them. 1 hour to contact. The crew took their positions. The Reckoning's hull rippled with barely contained power, its microscopic machines ready to adapt to whatever the enemy threw at them. The quantum processors hummed as they calculated millions of possible battle scenarios. Guardian, Walker said quietly. What are our chances? The Dominion fleet outguns us 30-1. Their weapons can crack planets. Their shields can withstand nuclear explosions. The AI paused. But they have never encountered a ship like this, crewed by humans who learned in days what should take years to master. They expect a primitive vessel playing with stolen technology. Show them instead what humanity can do when pushed to its limits. Contact in 10 minutes. Dominion fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel. Walker looked at his crew one last time. Kate at engineering, her hands dancing through the liquid metal controls. John at tactical, his team ready to bend space itself to protect the ship. Tom watching from the blue star, ready to coordinate their movements. This is what the reckoning was built for, Guardian reminded them. This is why it waited 3 centuries to be found. Humanity's greatest test is about to begin. The space around them lit up as 30 Dominion capital ships appeared, their purple hulls gleaming with deadly purpose. At their center was Admiral Vex's flagship, larger than all the others, its weapons already charging. Walker felt the ship respond to his thoughts through the control platform. "Let's show them what impossible really means," he said. Guardian, battle stations. Kate, power to all systems. John, shields ready. The Reckoning's hull began to glow as it prepared for war. The ship that shouldn't exist was about to face its greatest challenge, crewed by humans who had learned its secrets in 3 short days. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Admiral Vex's fleet filled the void of space with their massive purple hulls, their weapons charging with enough power to destroy a small moon. The Reckoning floated alone against the 30 capital ships, its dark hull rippling with energy as it prepared for battle. "Enemy fleet is launching fighters," Tom reported from the Blue Star, which had retreated to a safe distance. Hundreds of them. Walker stood calm at his control platform as the liquid metal swirled around his feet. "Kate, start the power cycles. John, ready the hull's stealth systems. Let's show them our first trick." The Dominion fighters streaked toward them, their engines leaving purple trails in the darkness. But as they approached, something strange happened. The Reckoning seemed to blur, then split into 3 identical ships. "Energy mirrors holding steady," Kate reported from her station. "The hull is producing perfect copies. They won't know which one is real until it's too late." The fighters split their formation, trying to attack all 3 targets at once. Their weapons fired, filling space with deadly energy beams. But the Reckoning's quantum processors had already calculated their attack patterns. John's team activated the shield systems, bending space itself to redirect the enemy fire harmlessly away. "Dominion command frequency detected," Guardian announced. "Admiral Vex is ordering his capital ships to advance." The massive enemy vessels moved forward, their main guns glowing with building power. Walker watched the tactical display as the quantum processors showed him their likely moves. "Kate, ready the hull absorbers. They're about to hit us with everything they have." The capital ships fired as one, 30 beams of devastating energy lancing out toward the Reckoning and its mirror images. The real ship's hull came alive, its microscopic machines working in perfect harmony to absorb the incoming fire. "Hull charge at maximum," Kate shouted. "We need to release the energy now." Walker's hands moved through the liquid metal controls. "Guardian, calculate maximum damage point. John, drop the mirrors on my mark." He waited as the quantum processors found the perfect target. Now, the mirror images vanished, and the Reckoning released all its stored energy in a single massive burst. The beam struck one of the Dominion capital ships dead center. Its shields shattered instantly, and its hull cracked open like an egg. The mighty vessel split in 2, secondary explosions tearing it apart from within. "First blood to the impossible ship," Guardian commented. But Admiral Vex was not legendary for nothing. His fleet quickly adapted, spreading out in a new formation that would prevent the Reckoning from concentrating its fire effectively. "They're surrounding us," John warned. Multiple targeting locks detected. Walker smiled. "Kate, show them your new trick." Kate's fingers danced through the controls. The Reckoning's hull began to change, its surface becoming like liquid mirror. When the Dominion ships fired, their beams didn't just miss. They were reflected back, each ship hit by its own weapons. "Their shields are weakening," Guardian reported. But Admiral Vex is launching the quantum-tipped missiles. Dozens of missiles streaked out from the Dominion ships, their warheads designed to tear apart matter at the molecular level. The quantum processors worked frantically, calculating trajectories and possible escape routes. "We can't dodge them all," John said, his hands moving across the shield controls. "We don't need to," Kate replied. Her station was showing new energy patterns forming in the hull. The microscopic machines have adapted to the quantum signatures. They can match the frequency. And she didn't finish her sentence as the first missile struck the Reckoning. But instead of destroying the hull, it was absorbed into it. Then another and another. The ship's surface rippled like a pond in a rainstorm as it consumed each missile. Power levels exceeding all previous measurements, Guardian announced. Hull transformation beginning. The Reckoning's surface began to change. The absorbed quantum energy was reforming the microscopic machines, making them even more advanced. The ship wasn't just adapting. It was evolving in the middle of battle. By all known laws of physics, this shouldn't be possible, Kate said in awe. The ship is rewriting its own structure. Admiral Vex's voice suddenly boomed across all frequencies. What manner of demon ship is this? Walker keyed the response channel. This is humanity's answer to your invasion. A ship that learns, adapts, and evolves. A ship that turns your own power against you. A ship that shouldn't exist, but does. The Reckoning's new form stabilized, its hull now covered in patterns that seemed to move in 5 dimensions at once. The quantum processors had evolved too, giving them perfect prediction of every enemy movement. All power systems ready, Kate reported. The hull can now generate quantum fields of its own. Time to end this, Walker said. Guardian, calculate a firing solution that will disable their entire fleet simultaneously. Kate, prepare to channel everything we've absorbed. John, drop all shields and give the power to weapons. The Dominion fleet was already trying to retreat, their legendary admiral finally facing something he couldn't overcome. But the Reckoning was faster now, its evolved systems operating at impossible levels. Space itself seemed to bend as the ship released its power. Quantum fields erupted from its hull, spreading out in a web of energy that trapped the Dominion ships in place. Then the main beam fired, not one beam, but 30, the hull splitting the energy perfectly to strike each capital ship at its weakest point. The results were devastating. Shields failed, engines died, and weapons went dark across the entire Dominion fleet. Admiral Vex's mighty armada hung powerless in space, defeated by a single ship that had broken every rule they thought they understood. Enemy fleet is completely disabled, Guardian reported. Their power systems are burnt out. Life support remains functional. Walker opened the communication channel again. Admiral Vex, this is Captain Walker. The next evolution of our weapons will not disable your ships. It will destroy them. Take your fleet and go. Tell your leaders what you found here. Tell them about the ship that shouldn't exist and what it did to your undefeated fleet. There was a long pause before Vex responded, his voice heavy with shock. We withdraw. But know this, human, you have changed everything. The galaxy will hear of this day. Emergency power flickered across the Dominion ships as they slowly turned away. Their retreat was awkward, ungraceful, like wounded animals limping home. They're gone, Tom reported from the Blue Star. Long-range sensors show them entering faster than light. They're running straight back to Dominion space. The bridge crew of the Reckoning finally relaxed. Kate slumped at her station, exhausted but proud. John's team cheered as the tactical displays confirmed their victory. Guardian, Walker called out. What did we just achieve here? The Reckoning has evolved beyond its original design parameters. The Phoenix Initiative believed humanity would need a weapon to defend itself. Instead, you have created something more. A shield that will make any future invader think twice before attacking Earth. Kate looked at her readings in amazement. The changes in the hull, the new quantum abilities, we can teach these to other ships, can't we? We can help humanity advance centuries in just a few years. Walker nodded, looking out at the stars through the ship's liquid metal walls. The Reckoning had been a gift from the past, but its greatest gift wasn't its power. It was the proof that humanity could master any technology, adapt to any challenge, and overcome any odds. The ship that shouldn't exist had just changed the course of human history. And somewhere out there, the Dominion fleet was carrying a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Not anymore. The deep silence of space wrapped around the secret shipyard, hidden in Neptune's orbit. Through the reinforced windows of the observation deck, Admiral Thomas Reed watched the swirling blues and greens of the distant gas giant. His weathered face reflected in the glass, showing the weight of 15 years of secrecy. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Project Director Marcus Wilson stepped up beside him. They both gazed at the massive shape floating in the dock below. The HS Prometheus. Even powered down, the warship commanded attention. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the light, making it hard for the eye to follow its exact shape and size. 15 years, Reed said quietly. "Sometimes I still can't believe we pulled it off." Wilson nodded, his tablet displaying the latest system checks. The Meridian Alliance's inspectors never even got close. They still think we're struggling with basic plasma containment. A small smile played across his face. If they knew what we actually achieved here. Reed turned away from the window, his boots clicking against the metal floor. "Show me the final numbers." They walked together through the observation deck's sliding doors and into a secure briefing room. The walls lit up with detailed technical readouts as Wilson waved his hand. "We've finished the last series of tests. The gravity drive works perfectly, 10 times more efficient than anything the Alliance has made public. The shield systems," he paused, allowing himself a moment of pride. "They don't just stop incoming fire. They bend it back." "And the AI core?" Reed asked, though he already knew the answer. It was the piece of technology that had kept him awake at night for the past decade. "Active and stable. We found a way around the processing limits the Alliance warned us about. Turns out their theories about artificial intelligence had some pretty big gaps." Wilson brought up a spinning diagram of the ship's central computer system. "They think organic brains are the only things that can handle quantum decision matrices. We proved them wrong 3 years ago." Reed sat down heavily in one of the briefing room's chairs. "And now we might have to reveal everything." He pulled up the latest intelligence reports on his own tablet. "The Alliance Council is meeting in 2 days. Our sources say they're going to vote on the Protection Initiative." Wilson's face hardened. Protection. Right. More like a polite invasion. 7 years ago, they did the same thing to the Centauri colonies. Moved in warships, established temporary bases for security purposes. Now the Centauri can't even launch a mining shuttle without Alliance permission. Reed's fingers drummed on the table. "We knew this was coming. That's why we built her." The room's displays shifted to show the Prometheus from different angles. Over a mile long, but somehow elegant despite its size. Its hull was studded with weapons that didn't match any known Alliance designs. The ship represented everything humanity had learned, developed, and kept hidden since first contact 20 years ago. "The engineering team is ready," Wilson said. "We can have her powered up in 6 hours if needed. The crew has run every possible drill. They know her inside and out." Reed stood and walked to the main display. "Tell me about the stealth systems again." "Active camouflage combined with gravity lensing. We don't just absorb or deflect scanning beams, we redirect them around us completely. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're literally not here." Wilson brought up the test footage. "Watch this." The video showed a test drone approaching the Prometheus's position. Its sensors swept the area repeatedly, showing nothing but empty space. The drone passed within 100 meters of the massive warship without registering its presence. And the power core. Stable fusion, enhanced by principles we discovered in their own technical documents. Things they missed, or maybe things they thought we weren't ready to understand. Wilson's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. "We took their carefully controlled technology sharing and found applications they never imagined." A soft chime interrupted them. Reed's comm unit displayed an urgent message. His face grew grimmer as he read it. "Alliance ships just changed course. 6 heavy cruisers, headed for Earth. He looked up at Wilson. They're not waiting for the council vote. Wilson's tablet clattered to the table. They're forcing the issue, making sure they have forces in position before announcing their protection plan. How many Earth governments know about this project? About this ship? 3. The others agreed to the compartmentalization protocols. If anything went wrong, if the Alliance discovered what we were doing. Wilson let the thought hang unfinished. Reed walked back to the window, staring at the Prometheus. Get the crew aboard. Start the power-up sequence. If we have to reveal her, I want it to be on our terms. Wilson was already sending the orders through his tablet. Around them, the hidden shipyard began to wake up. Lights flickered on along the Prometheus's hull. Engineering crews moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for what they had trained years to do. The Alliance thinks they know everything about us, Reed said softly. They've spent 20 years carefully controlling what technology they share, making sure we stay dependent on them, teaching us just enough to be useful, but never enough to be truly independent. They're in for quite a surprise. Wilson joined him at the window. Have you ever wondered if we went too far? Built something too powerful? Wilson considered the question carefully. I wonder if the first human to make a spear wondered the same thing, or the first person to split the atom. Tools are just tools, Admiral. It's how we use them that matters. Reed nodded slowly. And we built this tool to protect Earth's independence, to make sure humans stay free to make their own choices, their own mistakes, their own progress. Below them, the Prometheus's main engines began their warm-up sequence. A deep hum vibrated through the station. Crew members in dark uniforms moved purposefully through airlocks and access tubes, taking their positions aboard the ship that almost no one knew existed. How long until those cruisers reach Earth? Wilson asked. 36 hours at their current speed. Reed straightened his uniform. That's enough time to put our plans in motion. Send word to our contacts in the 3 governments. Tell them it's time for Operation Daybreak. And the other governments, the ones who don't know about us. They'll find out soon enough. Better they learn about this ship when it's protecting them than when it's too late. Reed turned away from the window. Humanity kept this secret for 15 years because we had to. Now we'll reveal it because we have to. And the galaxy is going to learn that keeping humanity in a cage was never going to work. Together, they walked toward the docking tube that would take them to the Prometheus. Around them, the hidden shipyard that had protected Earth's greatest secret for 15 years prepared to launch its creation. In 36 hours, the balance of power in the galaxy would change forever. The question was no longer if humanity would reveal its hidden strength, but how the Alliance would react when they learned just how badly they had underestimated the species they thought they could control. The time for secrets was ending. The time for showing humanity's true capabilities had begun. The massive screens in Earth's Global Defense Center show the approaching Alliance warships as bright dots against the dark background of space. Military officers and government officials from around the world gathered in the underground facility, their faces lit by the blue glow of the displays. None of them had expected to be here today. None of them had expected the Alliance to move so quickly. 6 heavy cruisers, General Robert Parker announced to the room. They've taken up positions around our major population centers: Beijing, New York, London, Moscow, Tokyo, and New Delhi. He pointed to each dot on the screen. They're just sitting there, waiting. Defense Minister Alice Cooper stepped forward. She was one of the few who knew about the Prometheus, but she couldn't reveal that yet, not until they were sure of the Alliance's intentions. Have they made any demands? As if in answer to her question, every screen in the room flickered. The image of High Commander Dex of the Meridian Alliance appeared before them. His alien features were arranged in what humans had learned to recognize as a diplomatic expression. People of Earth, the alien leader began, his words automatically translated. The Meridian Alliance has watched your progress with great interest over the past 20 years. We have shared technology, guided your development, and helped you join the galactic community. He paused, his four eyes blinking in sequence. "However, recent events have forced us to take direct action for your own protection." The room remained silent. They had all seen this before, the same speech given to other young species before they were absorbed into the Alliance's protective embrace. Criminal elements within the galaxy have expressed interest in Earth's resources and strategic location, Dex continued. The Alliance can no longer guarantee your safety without taking a more direct role in your defense. We ask that you temporarily transfer control of your military assets to Alliance oversight. This is for your own protection. General Parker's fist clenched at his side. Protection. They want us to just hand over everything we've built. Defense Minister Cooper checked her secure communicator. A message from Admiral Reed was waiting. Prometheus ready. Awaiting your signal. On the screen, Dex was still speaking. We have positioned peacekeeping forces around your major cities to ensure a smooth transition. Please understand that resistance would be unfortunate. We have only your best interests in mind. Like the Centauri colonies, someone muttered from the back of the room. Everyone knew what had happened there. A once proud civilization reduced to asking permission to fly their own ships in their own space. Cooper stepped out of the room, finding the secure communication booth. She had to contact the other two governments that knew about the Prometheus. They had planned for this, but now that the moment was here, the weight of the decision pressed down on her. The leaders of all three governments connected within minutes. They had been waiting for this call. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore, the Indian Prime Minister said, his hologram flickering slightly. They want Earth under their direct control. The Brazilian president nodded grimly. Our intelligence suggests they've already drawn up plans to begin reorganizing our industrial base. They'll strip our resources, just like they did to the Centauri. Cooper took a deep breath. Then we're agreed. We reveal the Prometheus. There was a moment of heavy silence. They had built the ship in secret, breaking multiple technology-sharing treaties. Using it would change everything. We knew this day would come, the Indian Prime Minister said finally. Better to reveal our strength now than submit to their control. The Brazilian president agreed. Do it. Show them that humanity won't be caged. Cooper sent the confirmation to Admiral Reed. Her hand shook slightly as she pressed the button. 20 years of careful deception were about to end. Back in the main room, the Alliance commander was still listing his demands. All Earth military vessels will be required to take on Alliance advisors. Your weapon development programs will be placed under direct Alliance supervision. This is non-negotiable. General Parker was about to respond when his aide grabbed his arm. Sir, massive energy reading detected near Neptune. Every screen in the room suddenly shifted to show a new image. The Prometheus was revealing itself, dropping its stealth fields. The massive warship seemed to materialize out of nothing, its dark hull reflecting the distant sunlight. The Alliance commander's transmission cut off abruptly. Within seconds, he was back, his diplomatic expression replaced by something closer to shock. What is that vessel? Our records show no human ship of that size or configuration. Cooper stepped back into the room, her voice steady. High Commander Dex, allow me to introduce you to the HS Prometheus, a ship we built without your guidance. The alien leader's features shifted rapidly. Impossible. Your technology level. The treaties. You couldn't. Couldn't what? Cooper asked. Couldn't develop our own technology. Couldn't keep secrets from your inspectors. Couldn't protect ourselves. She smiled slightly. I think you'll find humans are capable of many things you thought impossible. The Prometheus was moving now, its engines flaring with power that defied Alliance understanding. It crossed the solar system faster than any known ship, coming to rest between Earth and the Alliance cruisers. This vessel's existence violates multiple treaties, Dex said, but his voice had lost its commanding tone. The Alliance will not stand for this deception. The same treaties that kept us dependent on you, Parker spoke up. The ones designed to keep us weak and controllable. Cooper raised her hand for silence. High Commander, The Prometheus represents only a fraction of what humanity has achieved, while you thought you were controlling our development. We suggest you reconsider your plans for Earth." On the screens, they could see the Alliance cruisers adjusting their positions, their weapons powering up. The Prometheus remained motionless, but sensors showed its advanced shields were active. "You're making a terrible mistake," Dex warned. "The Alliance cannot allow." "Cannot allow what?" Cooper interrupted. "Cannot allow humanity to stand as equals. Cannot allow us to defend ourselves." She stepped closer to the screen. "Look at your sensor readings, High Commander. Really look at them. That ship represents technology you thought was centuries beyond us. Do you really want to find out what else we've developed in secret?" The Alliance ships held their positions, but their weapons remained powered. The next few moments would determine whether the revelation of the Prometheus would lead to war or force the Alliance to reconsider their view of humanity. Cooper watched the alien leader's face, seeing the calculations happening behind those 4 eyes. Everything they had worked for, everything they had hidden, had led to this moment. The time for pretending to be a simple, developing species was over. Humanity had just changed the rules of the game. Now they would see how the Alliance would react to players they couldn't control. Admiral Reed stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the Alliance cruisers through the main viewport. The enormous ship hummed with power around him, systems that had never been tested in actual combat ready to prove their worth. The bridge crew worked at their stations with practiced calm, though everyone felt the weight of the moment. "They're scanning us," Lieutenant Foster reported from the sensor station. "Their energy readings are off the charts. They're trying everything to figure out what we are." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Let them look. Time they learned what humanity can really do." He turned to his weapons officer. "Status of their targeting systems." "They're having trouble locking on, sir. Our hull design is confusing their targeting computers, just like we planned." The young officer's fingers moved across his console. "Their weapons are hot, but they can't get a solution." The main screen lit up with another transmission from High Commander Dex. The alien leader had dropped all pretense of diplomatic pleasantry. "This vessel violates every agreement Earth has made with the Alliance. Power down immediately and prepare for boarding." Reed stepped forward, letting the alien see him clearly. "I don't think so, Commander. Your sensors must be telling you some interesting things about my ship. Would you like me to demonstrate what it can do?" Before Dex could respond, Reed nodded to his tactical officer. The Prometheus's systems came fully online, and for the first time, the Alliance saw what humanity had actually achieved. Gravity sensors on the Alliance ships went wild as the Prometheus manipulated space itself around its hull. Their carefully calibrated instruments showed impossible readings. Human technology shouldn't be able to do this for centuries. "Impossible," Dex whispered, his 4 eyes widening. "Your species can't have mastered gravity manipulation at this level. The mathematical models were wrong," Reed finished for him. "Or perhaps you just didn't want to believe humans could understand them." He gestured to his crew, and new systems activated. "Would you like to see what else we figured out?" The Prometheus's energy weapons powered up, not the simple plasma weapons the Alliance had permitted Earth to develop, but something entirely new. Beams of concentrated force that could bypass standard shields as if they weren't there. "Sir," one of Dex's officers called out in the background. "They're targeting systems. They're operating faster than organic response times." "Of course they are," Reed said calmly. "Did you really think we wouldn't develop AI beyond your artificial limits? That we wouldn't see the holes in your theories about machine consciousness?" The Alliance ships began to back away slowly, their own weapons still unable to get a lock on the Prometheus's shifting hull. Everything they knew about human technological capabilities was being proven wrong in front of them. Project Director Wilson stepped onto the bridge, carrying new sensor readings. "Admiral, the other Alliance ships in the system are changing course. They're moving to support positions." "Let them come," Reed said. "Time for the next demonstration." He turned back to the screen showing Dex. "Watch carefully, Commander. You might learn something." The Prometheus's engines flared, and the massive ship seemed to blur. When it reappeared, it was behind the Alliance formation. Not just faster than their ships, faster than their sensors could track. The maneuver should have turned the crew to paste, but the ship's gravity control made it possible. "How many other secrets have you been keeping from us?" Dex demanded, his composure cracking. "How long have you been hiding these developments?" Reed's expression remained neutral. "Long enough to know that your protection was never about helping Earth. Long enough to make sure we'd never be trapped like the Centauri." He paused. "Long enough to build more than one ship." That last part was a bluff. They had only the Prometheus for now, but the Alliance commander's reaction showed it hit home. If humans could hide one ship of this capability, who knew what else they had concealed? "The Alliance Council will not stand for this deception," Dex tried, but his voice lacked conviction. "The Council might be more interested in learning how a primitive species managed to advance this far right under your noses." Wilson spoke up. "How many of your theories about technological development need to be reconsidered now?" On the tactical display, more Alliance ships were arriving in the system. Soon, there would be 20 cruisers facing the Prometheus. Reed wasn't worried. Their simulations had shown they could handle far more than that if needed. "Look at your sensor readings again, Commander," Reed suggested. "Really look at them. The power curve from our engines, the way our shields absorb energy, the speed of our targeting systems. Now ask yourself, do you really want to start a fight with a species that could develop all this in secret?" The bridge crew watched as the Alliance commander consulted with his officers. They could see the moment when understanding truly hit him. The humans hadn't just built an advanced ship. They had completely upended the Alliance's understanding of technological progression. "The Alliance will need to discuss this development," Dex said finally. "We cannot simply. You can't simply let Earth remain free." Reed finished for him. "I think you'll find that's exactly what you're going to do. The time for treating us like children is over." Wilson stepped forward. "We've proven we can develop technology beyond your expectations. We've proven we can keep secrets when needed. Most importantly, we've proven that your assumptions about human capabilities were wrong." The Alliance ships held their positions, caught in an impossible situation. If they attacked, they would learn exactly what the Prometheus could do in combat. If they retreated, they would be admitting that their power over Earth was broken. "Think carefully about your next move, Commander," Reed advised. "The Alliance has built its power on controlling the flow of technology, on keeping younger species dependent. That game is over, at least with humanity." The tension on the bridge stretched out as they waited for the Alliance's response. Every crew member knew they were witnessing a moment that would change human history, the moment when humanity proved it wouldn't be contained or controlled. Around them, the Prometheus hummed with power, its advanced systems ready to demonstrate even more capabilities if needed. But Reed hoped it wouldn't come to that. The ship wasn't built to start a war, but to prevent one. To show the Alliance that humanity couldn't be safely dominated. The next few moments would determine whether the galaxy would see a demonstration of human military power, or if the Alliance would recognize that their carefully maintained hierarchy of species had just been shattered by human ingenuity. The massive halls of the Alliance Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 7 member species packed the room, their voices a mix of different languages as they argued about the situation on Earth. The emergency session had been called immediately after the Prometheus revealed itself, and now, 3 days later, the debate still raged. Project Director Wilson stood calmly at the speaker's platform, facing the assembled alien leaders. Behind him, a hologram showed the Prometheus in all its glory. He had spent the last hour explaining exactly what humanity had achieved, and the Council was still struggling to accept it. Impossible. The Regulan representative slammed his crystalline appendage against his desk. No species could advance this quickly. The technological progression models are clear. Wilson touched his tablet, bringing up new diagrams. Your models were based on assumptions about how species develop. We simply found different paths. He highlighted several sections of the ship's systems. For instance, you assumed gravity manipulation required mastering crystal matrices first. We discovered a way to do it with quantum field generators instead. The council chamber erupted in fresh arguments. The Prometheus hadn't just violated their technology-sharing treaties, it had proven their fundamental theories about scientific advancement were wrong. Admiral Reed watched from the gallery above, along with Defense Minister Cooper. They had agreed to this presentation to prevent war, but they were revealing only part of what humanity had achieved. "Look at them," Cooper whispered. 20 years they spent thinking they had us safely contained, developing exactly as they planned. Now their whole system is falling apart. Below, Wilson continued his presentation. The AI core that runs the Prometheus doesn't use the quantum decision matrices you thought were essential. We found a way to create stable artificial intelligence using organic programming principles instead. This revelation caused even more chaos. The Alliance had built its technological hierarchy on carefully controlled development paths. Every species was supposed to follow the same steps, take the same amount of time to advance. Humanity had just proved that entire system was built on false assumptions. The real question, Wilson raised his voice over the commotion, is what happens now. Earth has proven we can't be safely controlled. We've demonstrated technology that matches or exceeds Alliance capabilities in several areas. How do we move forward from here? The head of the council, a tall figure from one of the oldest Alliance species, leaned forward. Move forward. You've violated every agreement Earth made with the Alliance. You've developed forbidden technologies in secret. Some would call these acts of war. And yet we haven't attacked anyone, Wilson pointed out. The Prometheus revealed itself to prevent conflict, not start one. We built it because we saw what happened to other young species who couldn't protect themselves. The chamber grew quiet at that accusation. Everyone knew about the Centauri, the Drachnids, and other species now living under Alliance protection. We've received reports, another council member spoke up, suggesting the Prometheus might not be your only secret project. Wilson smiled slightly. This was the moment to play their final card. The Prometheus represents only a fraction of what humanity has achieved. Would you like to see our advances in medical technology, our breakthroughs in quantum communications, or perhaps our developments in clean energy production? He brought up new diagrams, showing innovations that made even the oldest Alliance species pause. Humans hadn't just pushed ahead in military technology. They had advanced across all fields, finding new solutions the Alliance had never considered. We didn't break your rules because we wanted to fight, Wilson explained. We did it because you left us no choice. Your controlled development would have kept humanity dependent on the Alliance forever. We chose a different path. In the gallery, Reed watched the council members' reactions. Some were angry, others afraid, but a few seemed interested. They were starting to see humanity not as a threat to be contained, but as a species that could offer new perspectives, new ways of thinking about problems. The Alliance faces a choice, Wilson continued. You can try to punish Earth for protecting itself, starting a conflict that would reveal even more of our hidden capabilities. Or, he paused, letting the tension build, you can accept that your models of species development need to be reconsidered. You can work with humanity as equals, learning from our innovations just as we've learned from yours. The council chamber filled with urgent discussions. Representatives huddled in groups, arguing in their native languages. The entire power structure of their society was being challenged. Director Wilson, the council head, spoke again. You realize that accepting Earth as an equal would change everything. Other species would demand the same treatment. The entire hierarchy of technological sharing would need to be restructured. Yes, Wilson agreed simply. Perhaps it's time for that change. Perhaps forcing every species to develop along the same path isn't the best way forward. Humanity has proved there are other ways to advance. Cooper nudged Reed gently. Look at the Arcanian representative, she whispered. They're already thinking about what they could learn from us. She was right. Several of the more scientifically minded species were showing clear interest in humanity's achievements. The political balance was shifting before their eyes. "We propose a new arrangement," Wilson said into the thoughtful silence. "Earth maintains its independence and shares its innovations through negotiated treaties. In return, the Alliance lifts its technological restrictions, allowing for true collaborative development between our species." The council head looked around the chamber, reading the changing mood. "And if we refuse, then we continue developing on our own," Wilson replied calmly. "The Prometheus proved we can do that quite effectively. But we'd rather work together. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to think differently, to find new solutions to old problems." The gallery had filled with more observers as word spread about the presentation. Representatives from other young species watched with intense interest. If the Alliance accepted humans as equals, it would set a precedent that could change the fate of dozens of developing civilizations. "The Council will need time to discuss this," the head announced finally. "But I believe we all recognize that the old system cannot continue unchanged. Humanity has proven that." Wilson nodded, knowing they had achieved their goal. The Alliance wouldn't risk war with a species that could develop such advanced technology in secret. More importantly, they couldn't risk losing access to humanity's innovations. As the council session adjourned for deliberations, Reed and Cooper made their way down to meet Wilson. Around them, the future of galactic society was being reshaped. Humanity hadn't just protected its independence, it had forced the Alliance to reconsider its entire approach to technological development and species relations. The game had changed, and humans had changed it without firing a single shot. Their willingness to think differently, to find new paths forward, had proven more powerful than any weapon they could have built. 1 month after the Prometheus revelation, Earth's orbital shipyards buzzed with activity. The secret was out, but that hadn't stopped humanity's progress. If anything, it had accelerated it. Admiral Reed watched through the observation window as construction crews worked openly on new projects that had been hidden for years. "Amazing how different everything feels in the open," Project Director Wilson said, joining him at the window. "No more scrambling to hide things when Alliance inspectors visit. No more maintaining false research programs to throw them off track." Reed nodded, watching a team test new shield generators that would have been forbidden just weeks ago. "How are the treaty negotiations going?" "Better than expected." Wilson handed him a tablet showing the latest diplomatic updates. "The Alliance Council finally accepted our terms yesterday. Earth is now recognized as a full sovereign power, with all the rights that come with it, including unrestricted technological development." Below them, the Prometheus floated in its dock, undergoing routine maintenance. The ship that had changed everything looked different in the light of day, its dark hull now proudly displaying Earth's flag and registry numbers. "The Arcanians are particularly interested in our AI development techniques," Wilson continued. "They've already proposed 3 joint research projects." Turns out they had their own doubts about the Alliance's technological theories. "And the other young species?" Reed asked, though he already knew the answer. The past month had seen a wave of diplomatic requests from civilizations that had been living under Alliance restrictions. 5 of them have already petitioned for development rights similar to ours. The Alliance can't really refuse, not after accepting our terms. Wilson smiled. "The old system is falling apart faster than anyone expected." A soft chime announced the arrival of Defense Minister Cooper. She walked into the observation room carrying fresh reports. "Gentlemen, you'll want to see this. The Alliance just approved our proposal for the Joint Defense Initiative." Reed took the offered document, scanning its contents quickly. "They actually agreed to let us help protect the trade routes. That's a major shift from their position last month." "They didn't have much choice," Cooper replied. 3 more pirate attacks in the outer systems proved their patrol methods weren't working. Our gravity detection system offers better coverage with fewer ships." Wilson moved to a larger display screen, bringing up the status of their various projects. "Speaking of ships, The second and third Prometheus-class vessels are proceeding on schedule. But now we can build them in the open, using proper facilities instead of hiding them behind Neptune. The screen showed two massive hulls taking shape in Earth's largest shipyard. They incorporated improvements based on everything they'd learned from the first Prometheus, but also included collaboration with Alliance engineers who had been cleared to work with Earth's technology. The Regulans are still complaining, Cooper noted, but even they've started asking questions about our quantum field generators. Their crystal matrix technology hit a development wall a decade ago. Reed turned away from the window. And the AI restrictions? Completely lifted, Wilson confirmed. Once we proved stable artificial intelligence was possible without quantum decision matrices, half the Alliance species admitted they'd been working on alternative approaches in secret too. Turns out we weren't the only ones who saw flaws in their theories. A group of alien scientists walked past the observation room, headed for one of the research labs. It still felt strange to see them working openly with human engineers, sharing ideas and challenging old assumptions on both sides. Any word from the Centauri? Reed asked quietly. The fate of that civilization had been one of the driving forces behind the Prometheus project. Cooper nodded. The Alliance agreed to review their status. With Earth's new position in the Council, we have enough influence to push for their independence. The process will take time, but they'll be free to develop their own technology again. Which brings us to the real question, Wilson said, pulling up another set of files. Now that we don't have to hide everything, where do we go from here? The display filled with research projects that had been kept secret even from the Prometheus team. Medical breakthroughs that could extend human lifespans. Energy systems that could power entire continents without pollution. Communications technology that could bridge the gaps between galaxies. We keep advancing, Reed said firmly. But now we do it as part of the galactic community, not in spite of it. We proved we could develop on our own if we had to. Now let's prove we can be good partners when given the chance. Cooper stepped closer to the window, watching the construction below. The Alliance didn't understand us. They thought controlling technology was the key to maintaining peace. They never realized that trying to hold species back only encourages them to find ways around the restrictions. Human ingenuity, Wilson agreed. We don't just think outside the box. We redesign the box itself. A flash of light caught their attention as the Prometheus powered up its engines for a systems check. The ship that had been their insurance policy was now becoming a symbol of cooperation, proof that progress couldn't be contained by artificial limitations. Latest reports from the diplomatic corps, Cooper said, checking her communications. 3 more Alliance species have requested access to our research methods. Not our technology. They want to know how we approach problems differently. Share it all, Reed decided. The scientific methods, the development processes, everything. The more they understand how we think, the less likely they are to try controlling us again. Wilson nodded, already sending instructions to his research teams. I've already scheduled the first joint development conference. Representatives from 12 species will be there, including some of the Alliance's founding members. They're starting to see that diversity in approach leads to better solutions. Through the window, they could see Earth rising over the horizon, beautiful and blue. The planet had changed more in the past month than in the 20 years since first contact. Humanity had proved itself not just technologically capable, but diplomatically mature enough to handle advancement responsibly. The Prometheus was never really about the technology, was it? Cooper asked softly. It was about proving we had the right to find our own path. And now that path is open to everyone, Wilson agreed. The Alliance is changing. The hierarchy is breaking down. Species are starting to work together as equals instead of following arbitrary development restrictions. Reed watched as a team of human and alien engineers began installing new components on the Prometheus, working together seamlessly. We didn't just change humanity's place in the galaxy. We changed how the galaxy itself works. The 3 of them stood in comfortable silence, watching the activity in the shipyard. The fear and tension of the past month was fading, replaced by a sense of possibility. Earth had secured its independence not through force, but by demonstrating that cooperation worked better than control. The Prometheus would never need to fire its weapons in anger. Instead, it had become something more important, proof that any species could exceed expectations when given the freedom to develop in their own way. The ship that had been too dangerous to be public had helped create a galaxy where secrets like itself would never be needed again.